Honda CX500. Claimed power, 48 HP at 9,000 RPM. Top speed, 106 miles per hour, period test. Engine type, 497 cubic centimeters overhead valve, liquid-cooled V-twin. Weight, dry 441 pounds. MPG, 45 to 55. Price then, $2,398, 1979. Price now, $700 to $1,700. First into the future. Coming from anyone else, those words would just be more tired huckstering. But coming as they did from Honda's ad men announcing the new 1978 Honda CX500, they demanded at least a bit of attention. In today's world of massive, 1,800 cubic centimeters cruisers and 150 plus horsepower sport bikes, it's easy to forget that middleweights once ruled the road. While there were plenty of big bikes around in the late 70s, the middle ground of 400 cubic centimeters to 650 cubic centimeters machines was a hotly contested category where Japan's Big Four pitched their wares to mostly newer, younger riders. By 1977, Yamaha offered 4 mid-sized machines in 2 and 4-stroke guise, Suzuki had no less than 7, Kawasaki 6, and Honda 4. The beefiest of Honda's middleweights was the CB554. A smooth, capable machine based on the Honda CB750 introduced in 1969, it was decidedly old school and hardly the machine to entice a new generation of riders. Enter the Honda CX500. Moving forward. Keen to preserve its reputation as a pioneer in motorcycle design, a reputation garnered most notably by the CB750 and the water-cooled, horizontally opposed GL1000 introduced in 1975, Honda assigned the task of designing a new middleweight to Shoichiro Irimajiri, the man responsible for the Honda GL1000 and, later, the legendary 6-cylinder Honda CBX. Working from a clean sheet, Irimajiri and his team came up with a machine that drew almost nothing from the past and instead looked to the future of motorcycle design. What they came up with was unlike anything ever built by Honda, a water-cooled, shaft-driven V-twin. Water cooling was hardly new, but it had never been applied to a V-twin. The same with shaft drive, but so far Honda had only used it on the massive GL1000. Yet Honda had never produced a V-twin, and this was to be a twin like no other. To begin with, while everyone was singing the praise of overhead cam engines, the 48 HP CX500 made do with simple push rods. This kept the engine height low and dispensed with the complexity of running separate cam chains to each cylinder. To make things interesting, Irimajiri twisted the heads 22 degrees inboard to pull the carbs in closer to the middle of the bike and out of the rider's way. This had the benefit of splaying the exhaust pipes out for a stronger visual statement of power. To help lower the center of gravity, the counter-rotating, to fight the longitudinally mounted engine's twist under power, 5-speed transmission was located just below and to the right of the engine. All of this was hung as a stressed unit from a spine frame, supported by standard telescopic forks at front and adjustable shocks at rear. Importantly, the CX500 was the first production bike equipped with tubeless tires. Goes better than it looks. Response from the press was mixed. With its huge 4.9 gal tank and big cylinders hanging out in the wind, testers found themselves less than excited about Honda's revolutionary twin. In a February 1978 review, Cycle Guide editors said, "Our first look at the machine was quite a letdown," while Cycle World singled out the CX's engine, saying it looks like an air compressor. But once they climbed on board, criticism turned to praise for the bike's smooth suspension and excellent handling. "We must consider the CX500's handling as excellent," Cycle Guide said, while Cycle's May 1978 issue praised it for its excellent ground clearance and responsiveness, calling the bike's steering wonderfully neutral and light. It seems almost to sense your desire to make slight course corrections. Buyers were a bit skeptical at first, and early problems with the cam chain tensioner and alternator probably didn't help fire CX500 sales. but Honda stuck to the model, and as time ticked on the CX500 built a loyal following of owners, many using the twin as a long-haul touring machine or daily commuter. In 1979 the Honda CX500 lineup was expanded to 3 with the addition of the custom and deluxe models, which proved so popular the standard model illustrated here was dropped in 1980. 1981 saw the addition of the Silver Wing and Silver Wing Interstate, featuring a rear-mounted accessory box on the former and a full factory-made fairing on the latter, while 1982 saw the introduction of the baddest CX500 of them all, the 82 HP CX500T Turbo. The CX's last hurrah came with the upgraded 650 cubic centimeters CX650 in 1983, a 97 HP turbo was also offered, after which it was dropped to make way for Honda's new line of liquid-cooled V4S, which were yet another in a string of pioneering motorcycles from Honda. Overall, the CX500 was a good seller for Honda, and a well-earned reputation for being bulletproof means the CX survival rate is high, so there are still plenty of good examples out there. Almost all bikes will have had the timing chain tensioner fixed. 3 punch marks in a triangle next to the engine serial number confirm the fix was done, and aside from that, the biggest issues are dirty cooling systems and improperly adjusted valves, which had a tendency to go out of spec quickly, especially on early models. Middleweight rivals to the Honda CX500. 1978 Yamaha XS500. 38 HP, 110 miles per hour. 498 cubic centimeters. Air-cooled. 5-speed. Dual-disc front, single-disc rear. 423 pounds, dry. 40-50 mpg. $800 to $1,800. Unlike its bigger brother, the legendary Yamaha XS650, the 2-cylinder XS500, first introduced in 1973 as the Yamaha TX500, never really caught on. Why? For starters, it developed a reputation as being wildly unreliable, with reports of a balancer and cam chain arrangement that needed constant attention, and heat dissipation issues that caused valves to burn up and cylinder heads to crack. The vertical twin's performance didn't make many hearts flutter when it was introduced, either, as the bike posted below average quarter-mile speeds in its class and reviewers noted problems with drivetrain backlash and dodgy throttle response on early models. On the plus side, the bike boasts many of the features that made classics of the XS650 and the 3-cylinder XS750. Its combination of a 180-degree crank with a vibration damper, electric start and twin carbs makes for a smooth and easy ride, and its styling lines are clean and were quite fashionable in the day. It's still a handsome bike today. Yamaha logged the complaints about the 500, made refinements and continued to produce it until 1979. A surprisingly high survival rate suggests they weren't nearly as unreliable as many believed, as nice examples surface regularly. 1980 Moto Guzzi V50 Monza. 48 HP, 109 miles per hour. 490 cubic centimeters. Air-cooled. 5-speed. Dual-disc front, single-disc rear. 353 pounds, dry. 45-55 mpg. $2,000 to $4,000. Based on the V50 that Moto Guzzi introduced in 1977 as a downsized option to its successful 850 cubic centimeters V-twins, the sporty Moto Guzzi V50 Monza was an attempt to inject some excitement into a bike the US market simply didn't find attractive. Where the standard V50 was somewhat austere and devoid of any G-whiz factor, the Monza had the go-fast styling of its celebrated big brother, the Lemons. Its 490 cubic centimeters V-twin pumped out a respectable 48 HP, the same as Honda CX, and like most Italian sport bikes it was endowed with excellent handling, something you couldn't say about all its Japanese competitors. An aggressive seating position and excellent high-speed manners inspired frequent runs up to the bike's claimed top speed of 109 miles per hour, while Guzzi's controversial link brake system, The left front and rear calipers are linked to the foot pedal. The hand lever operates the right front caliper, with triple discs was more than adequate to bring the bike's modest bulk to a quick stop. Unfortunately, the Monza's reputation for quirkiness coupled with a sticker price north of $3,000 helped guarantee success for bikes like the CX500, which offered the added promise of Japanese reliability for almost a grand less. Low production and slow sales mean survivors are few and far between, but they are out there, and most are still in good shape thanks to enthusiastic owners. Engine. The CX series feature a crankshaft configuration aligned longitudinally with the axis of bike, similar to the Moto Guzzi layout. Unlike a boxer flat twin, the cylinders protrude at an angle above the horizontal. The included angle of the CX is 80 degrees, and the heads are twisted 22 degrees so that the inlet tracks do not interfere with the rider's legs. A cam's haft nestles at the base of the V between the cylinders. Although Honda generally favors oak engines, the cylinder head twist necessitated the use of stubby push rods to operate the 4 overhead valves per cylinder, with a forked rocker arm acting off each push rod. The 5-speed transmission is located below the crankshaft, with both in the same housing, an arrangement which keeps the engine short, lengthwise, but quite tall. The engine has a 10.0:1 compression ratio and 9,650 rpm redline. Just as with the Honda Goldwing, the transmission spins contrariwise to the engine's rotation to help counteract the engine torque's tendency to tip the bike slightly to one side when the throttle is opened or closed. The CX was the first V-twin motorcycle that Honda ever built. It was initially designed as a 90 degrees V-twin. Honda built a prototype CX350 but it was never released to the public. In that version the cylinder heads did not have the cylinder head twist 3 better source needed. Transmission. Final drive is via a shaft. Power is transferred via an enclosed splined drive shaft with one universal joint. The shaft drives a bevel gear to which the wheel is joined via a cush drive, which absorbs and dampens driveline shocks and vibrations. The bevel drive spins in an oil bath, and a grease nipple is provided for greasing the shaft bearing. Wheels. The Comstar wheels combine the flexibility of spoked wheels with the strength and tubeless characteristics of one-piece wheels. Honda introduced the Comstar wheels a year or so earlier on the CB250T/400T Dream as well as on the CB750 F2 and GL1000 Goldwing, although these featured standard rims that demanded inner tubes to be used. The CX500 was the first production motorcycle to use tubeless tires.